They say when you marry a man, you marry his family. Zainab learned this lesson the hard way. But by the time she understood what it truly meant, she had already lost herself. Zainab met Chidi at a friend's wedding. He was handsome, successful, and kind. He worked as an architect in Lagos, drove a good car, and most importantly, he made her laugh. After years of dating men who disappointed her, Chidi felt like a gift from God. Their courtship was beautiful. Flowers every week. Surprise visits. Long conversations that stretched into the early morning. He introduced her to his mother, Mama Chidi, within 3 months. A good sign, Zainab thought. A man who respects his mother will respect his wife. Mama Chidi was a large woman with sharp eyes and an even sharper tongue. But she was welcoming, warm even. She hugged Zainab at their first meeting and said, "My son has good taste. You are beautiful, and I can see you have home training." Zainab blushed. Her own mother had passed away 2 years earlier, and she missed having a maternal figure in her life. Maybe, she thought, Mama Chidi could fill that void. The wedding was grand. Traditional ceremonies in the village, white wedding in the city. Zainab wore a dress that cost more than her yearly salary, paid for by Chidi's family. Mama Chidi sat in the front row, beaming with pride, her chest heavy with gold jewelry that announced her status to everyone present. After the reception, as Zainab prepared to leave with her new husband, Mama Chidi pulled her aside. "Come, my daughter," she said, leading Zainab to a quiet corner. "I have something for you." She reached into her handbag and pulled out a jewelry box. Inside was a necklace, beautiful, intricate, made of coral beads and gold. It looked ancient, valuable, the kind of thing you see in museums. "This has been in our family for 4 generations, Mama Chidi said, fastening it around Zainab's neck. "Every first wife has worn it. It brings blessings, prosperity, and harmony to the marriage. Wear it always, my daughter. It will protect you." The necklace felt heavy. Not just in weight, but in presence. But Zainab smiled and thanked her mother-in-law, touched by the gesture. This was acceptance. This was love. This was family. She wore it out of the reception hall, and she wore it to bed that night. And that's when everything began to change. The first few weeks of marriage were blissful. Chidi was attentive, loving, present. They laughed together, cooked together, made plans for their future. Zainab wore the necklace every day, just as Mama Chidi had instructed. It became part of her, like her wedding ring. But slowly, something began to shift. It started with small things. Chidi would suggest they visit his mother on Sundays, and Zainab, who had planned to visit her own family, would hear herself say, "Of course, darling. Your mother comes first." Mama Chidi would comment on Zainab's cooking. "This jollof rice is too spicy. Chidi doesn't like too much pepper. You should make it the way I taught you." And instead of defending her cooking or explaining that Chidi had never complained before, Zainab would smile and say, "Yes, Ma. I'll do it your way next time." She stopped going out with her friends. When they called, she would decline, saying Chidi needed her at home even when Chidi hadn't asked her to stay. She stopped wearing the clothes she loved, the bright colors, the modern styles, and started dressing more conservatively, more like Mama Chidi would approve. She stopped voicing her opinions. When Chidi asked where she wanted to go for dinner, she would say, "Anywhere you want, darling." When he asked what movie she wanted to watch, she would say, "Whatever makes you happy." She became a shadow. An echo. A woman without edges, without preferences, without fire. And Chidi noticed. At first, he thought she was just adjusting to married life. But as the months passed, he began to miss the woman he had married. The woman who challenged him. The woman who laughed loudly. The woman who had opinions and wasn't afraid to share them. Now, she just agreed with everything. She smiled, But the smile didn't reach her eyes. She was there, but she wasn't present. Their conversations became shallow. Their intimacy felt mechanical. He would look at her sometimes and wonder, who is this woman? Where did Zainab go? But he said nothing. He buried himself in work. He stayed late at the office. He stopped coming home for lunch. And Zainab noticed his distance but said nothing. She just tightened the necklace around her neck and tried harder to be perfect. To be the wife Mama Chidi had told her to be. Quiet. Submissive. Agreeable. A good wife doesn't argue, Mama Chidi had said during one of her many visits. A good wife supports her husband in silence. That's how I kept my own marriage strong. Zainab nodded and served her mother-in-law more tea. Zainab's younger sister, Amina, came to visit 6 months after the wedding. She was in Lagos for a job interview and stayed with Zainab and Chidi for a week. On the first night, Amina noticed something was wrong. Zainab, why are you acting like a housemaid in your own home? She asked after Chidi had gone to bed. What do you mean? Zainab replied, washing dishes with a blank expression. You didn't say a single word during dinner. Chidi was talking about his work, and you just sat there nodding like a robot. The Zainab I know would have jumped into that conversation with opinions and questions. I was just listening, Zainab said softly. No, Amina said, studying her sister closely. You were absent. Where is my sister? The one who used to argue with me about everything. The one who had fire in her eyes. Zainab touched the necklace at her throat unconsciously. I'm just adjusting to married life. It's different from being single. But Amina wasn't convinced. Over the next few days, she watched. She saw how Zainab asked Chidi's permission before doing anything. How she called Mama Chidi every morning to ask what she should cook for dinner. How she apologized for things that weren't her fault. How she had become small. And then Amina noticed the necklace. Zainab never took it off. Not to shower. Not to sleep. Not even when it was clearly uncomfortable. That necklace, Amina said one afternoon when they were alone. Where did you get it? Mama Chidi gave it to me on my wedding day, Zainab said, touching it like it was precious. It's a family heirloom. I wear it for good luck. Have you ever taken it off? Zainab hesitated. No. Mama Chidi said I should always wear it. Zainab, Amina said carefully, you've changed since you got married. And I think it started the day you put that necklace on. Zainab laughed, but it sounded hollow. Don't be silly. It's just jewelry. But that night, Amina couldn't sleep. Something about that necklace bothered her. It was beautiful, yes, but there was something else. Something dark. The next morning, while Zainab was at the market, Amina did something she had never done before. She went through Zainab's things, looking for answers. She found Zainab's journal. The entries from before the wedding were full of life, dreams, plans, personality. But the entries after the wedding were different. Shorter. Flatter. Like someone else was writing them. One entry, written 2 months after the wedding, stood out. I don't recognize myself anymore. I feel like I'm watching my life from outside my body. Chidi is pulling away. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Mama Chidi says I need to be more submissive, more supportive. Maybe she's right. Maybe I'm the problem. Amina's heart broke. This wasn't her sister. This was someone broken. That evening, Amina made a decision. She visited a woman in the neighborhood, Mama Ngozi, known for her spiritual insight. Some called her a witch. Others called her a seer. Amina just needed answers. She described the necklace, described the change in her sister. Mama Ngozi's face darkened. Bring me something that belongs to your sister. Something she wears often. Amina brought a scarf. Mama Ngozi held it, closed her eyes, and after a long silence, she opened them with a grave expression. Your sister is being controlled, she said. The necklace is not a blessing. It's a chain. Every time she wears it, it binds her will, her spirit, her fire. She becomes what the necklace's owner wants her to be, quiet, obedient, invisible. But why? Amina asked, horrified. Why would her mother-in-law do this? Mama Ngozi smiled sadly. Some women cannot let go of their sons. They see a wife as competition, not as family. So they find ways to control the daughter-in-law, to make her weak, to ensure she never takes the son's full attention or loyalty. How do we break it? The necklace must be destroyed, burned or buried. But your sister must be the one to take it off willingly. If you force it, the hold will only strengthen. Amina returned home with fire in her chest. She waited until Chidi left for work, then sat Zainab down. Zainab, I need you to listen to me. Really listen. Zainab smiled that empty smile. What is it? That necklace is not a blessing. It's controlling you. I spoke to Mama Ngozi. Amina. Zainab's eyes widened. You went to a witch. Why would you do that? Because you're not yourself. Amina's voice cracked. You're a shell of who you used to be. You don't laugh anymore. You don't dream anymore. You don't live anymore. And it started the moment you put that necklace on. You're being ridiculous, Zainab said, standing up. It's just jewelry. Then take it off. Silence. Take it off right now, Zainab. If it's just jewelry, it should be easy. Zainab's hand flew to the necklace, clutching it protectively. I can't. Why not? Because. Tears filled her eyes. Because Mama Chidi said I have to wear it. She said it protects my marriage. Does your marriage feel protected? Amina asked gently. Or does it feel like it's dying? Zainab broke down. I don't know what's wrong with me, Amina. I don't know why Chidi doesn't love me anymore. I'm trying so hard to be a good wife. I do everything Mama Chidi tells me. But nothing is working. Because you're not being a wife. You're being a puppet. The words hung in the air. That night, after Amina left, Zainab lay in bed beside her sleeping husband and thought about everything. She thought about the woman she used to be. The woman who had dreams and plans. The woman who laughed freely and loved boldly. She reached up and touched the necklace. And for the first time since her wedding day, she felt how heavy it truly was. Not in weight. In burden. Slowly, carefully, she unclasped it. The moment it left her neck, she gasped. It was like surfacing from deep water, like breathing after being held underwater. Clarity rushed back. Anger. Sadness. Herself. She looked at the necklace in her hand, this beautiful prison, and knew what she had to do. The next morning, Zainab didn't call Mama Chidi. For the first time in 6 months, she cooked whatever she wanted for breakfast. She wore a dress she loved. She laughed at something on TV. Chidi noticed immediately. You seem different today, he said cautiously. I feel different, she said, meeting his eyes. Really meeting them, for the first time in months. And they talked. Really talked. About how distant they'd become. About how much had changed. About how he had missed her, the real her. I thought I lost you, he admitted. You almost did, she said. That afternoon, Mama Chidi called. Why didn't you call me this morning? And why aren't you wearing the necklace? Because I don't need it, Zainab said calmly. There was a long pause. You need to put it back on, Zainab. It's for your own good. No, Mama. I'm not wearing it anymore. Chidi. Mama Chidi's voice became sharp. Make your wife put that necklace back on. Now. But Chidi, who was listening, looked at Zainab. And he saw her. The woman he married. The woman he loved. The woman he had lost. No, Mama, Chidi said quietly. Zainab doesn't have to wear it if she doesn't want to. Mama Chidi showed up at their house that evening, furious. She demanded the necklace back. She shouted. She cried. She accused Zainab of disrespecting her. Of destroying the family. Of being a bad wife. But Zainab stood firm. This necklace is not a blessing, she said. It's a curse. You gave it to me to control me. To make me weak. To make sure I would never truly have your son's heart. That's not true. Mama Chidi said, but her eyes betrayed her. Then why can't you let me take it off? Silence. Zainab walked to the backyard, Mama Chidi following, protesting. And there, in front of both her husband and her mother-in-law, Zainab threw the necklace into a metal drum and set it on fire. The coral beads cracked and popped. The gold melted. And with it, the hold broke completely. Mama Chidi wailed as if something of hers had died. And perhaps it had. Her control. Her power. Her ability to keep her son tethered to her through his wife. The weeks that followed were not easy. Mama Chidi tried everything, guilt, manipulation, even threats. But Chidi, finally seeing his mother clearly, set boundaries. You will respect my wife, he told her. Or you will not be welcome in our home. It was the first time he had ever stood up to her. As for Zainab, she blossomed. The fire returned to her eyes. The laughter returned to her voice. She reconnected with her friends. She started a small catering business. She became, once again, herself. And her marriage. It wasn't perfect. They had work to do, damage to repair. But for the first time since their wedding day, they were partners. Equals. Two whole people choosing each other, not one person disappearing into the other. Some months later, Mama Chidi visited. She was quieter. Humbler. She apologized, though not fully, not deeply. But it was a start. I just wanted you to be a good wife, she said. I know, Zainab replied. But a good wife is not a silent wife. A good wife is not a broken wife. A good wife is a whole woman who chooses to share her life with someone she loves. Mama Chidi had no response to that. This story is a warning for every woman who has ever felt pressure to shrink herself to fit into someone else's expectations. For every daughter-in-law who has been made to feel like she must earn her place. For every wife who has lost herself trying to be good enough. Your voice matters. Your opinions matter. Your fire matters. And if someone, whether it's a mother-in-law, a husband, a friend, or even a parent, tries to dim that fire, tries to make you small, tries to control who you are, remember this. A gift that requires you to lose yourself is not a gift. It's a trap. And you have every right to set yourself free. The end. Let those who have ears, hear. Let those with mothers-in-law, take note. And let every woman remember, you were not born to be a shadow. You were born to shine. Subscribe to my channel for more unique stories, like, comment and share this story.